Fortnite is a technical game. I'd argue one of the most technical games currently out. But no matter what skill level you are, there's always something new to learn or to continuously improve upon. In a game that updates every week and doesn't shy away from items that shift the game drastically, practice and learning are always going to be a skill you need. So today, we'll look at ways to learn faster and easier, and we'll also look at some tools to help you improve. The goal of this video is that no matter what skill level you are, you leave this video with at least one thing to practice. When learning a new technique, there's a couple of steps that are crucial to getting it down fast. Starting slow helps build coordination and muscle memory, but that coordination is built even if you're doing it incorrectly. So if you start a new technique and it's half right, but you keep practicing and plan on fixing it later, you're going to struggle to correct the little mistakes you first neglected. Taking it slow and understanding the steps it takes to complete a technique will not only help you understand instead of list in your head, but it'll also make sure you have the correct muscle memory down the first time. For example, let's take a look at a build I've seen people do in multiple different sequences, the double wall floor ramp. When I was learning this, I struggled to get the technique down, and when I would practice, I would miss walls and floors occasionally. I just kept trying, but I couldn't get it down no matter what I did. It wasn't until I stopped trying to sprint the entire time and walked slowly up the build, taking my time to get the combination of the key and mouse presses to place everything down and not miss a build. I recommend when practicing certain builds where you move a lot, to turn your sprint off. It slows down how fast everything will happen and will allow for you to process things easier and get a better understanding where you first begin. But after you have that correct muscle memory down, slowly increase your speed with quality repetitions is going to get that technique ingrained in your memory. This is usually when I turn my automatic sprint back on and test how well I've got everything down. No matter how good you are at the game, there's always a new technique to learn. And pushing yourself to learn things outside of your comfort zone are going to help you improve drastically in comparison to learning something like a 10th side jump. Not saying that it's not worth learning a 10th side jump, but the amount of skill you'll gain in comparison to learning a completely new build technique is unmatched. Now you might be asking, where do I find these build techniques? Personally, I pick up a lot of random little things from Reddit and Twitter, but we have YouTube right at our fingertips, and it has a huge catalog of videos that can answer any question you have, and will spit out thousands of Fortnite videos for whatever you search. But at the end of the video, I'll have a couple of links to my favorite videos that show some great techniques. Once you've mastered a technique, you're not going to retain that skill forever. I'm sure many of you have taken a break from a game and come back with not even close to as much skill that you had before. That's typical, and it happens in normal sports all the time. Continuously practicing your favorite techniques will help you perform them with more ease, confidence, and precision. And some of the easiest ways to do so is putting them into your warm-up routine. Cycle different techniques in and out as time goes to make sure you're not losing skill with any of your builds. And including as much into your warm-up will help you out a lot. One of my maps will condense how many codes you'll actually need, and this map is great because it has a lot of edit courses, some small aim courses for both stationary aim and tracking, and it also has a really cool free build area. This isn't meant to be a full-out training map, but it's just a great way to practice everything in one spot. And we haven't even begun to touch on aim, which I think is something that cannot be practiced enough. You can't win a fight if you don't hit your opponent. Now, something cool that I really want to show you guys, I'm a fan of CSGO, and I occasionally browse the CSGO subreddit, and I found something quite interesting. Now what you're looking at is from a Reddit user named Foog, who spent a year shooting 200 shots on an aim training course every day, and even after a year, he's still seeing improvements on his aim. I actually reached out to him to see if he spent more time practicing on any other aim apps, and he let me know that he really only ever did 200 shots a day, sometimes did some 1v1s, but most of the time only did 200 shots a day and then hopped right into a competitive match. Which should really only take you around 5 minutes, and since you're already in a creative mode warming up your builds, hopping into an aim map for 5 minutes should be a priority. I have two aim maps for you guys. My favorite one is my shotgun aim facility. It combines a ton of training for shotgun specific scenarios, as well as it has some really great aim and edit courses that will get that training and warming up for both of those at the same time. The reason why my shotgun aim facility is my favorite is because it always has something for you to do. There's not much that is spaced out, and it shows quite well in the edit aim section. It's compacted tight and allows for you to challenge yourself with hard but necessary edits, but then immediately having to edit in for a shot. How I train and how I recommend to is to put pressure on yourself. Try to push how fast you can truly edit and connect with your shot. There's 3 separate edit courses, easy, intermediate, and hard, so no matter what skill level you are, There's something for you, and it's a great way to benchmark yourself and work your way up. Now, I've talked a whole lot about the aim and the edit section of this course, but this map has a lot more to offer. If you struggle with specific edits and shots, I recommend this section right here. It will provide you with dense and repetitive opportunity to get that muscle memory down and learn those crucial edits. My Tfue Classic has been a staple for a lot of my shotgun maps, but for a good reason. I love this section because it allows me to free build and not follow a cookie cutter type build, and this allows me to test my new techniques and practice whatever I like, while also getting shots from different angles and going for odd edits into shots. And what I love about this section in particular is the fact that not only can you warm up your builds, but you can also warm up your shotgun, SMG, and AR shots. The targets aren't moving, but it allows you to create some unique scenarios that you won't be able to find in any other map. Now this last section here is slightly inspired from Kovacs, and I kind of look at it as a flat tile frenzy. It's mostly just to get you starting to move around and get those fast flicks and reflexes in. It's one of the first sections I typically use when I hop on and I first load in to start warming up, as it just gets my aim starting to flow. My second one is one of my larger maps, and this will consist of more in-depth practice for the AR and SMG, and it'll also incorporate some longer range practice as well. With everything in this map, it's great for either if you want to warm up and get those quick 200 shots in, or if you're looking for some more in-depth practice. And just so you guys know, all of my maps will pop up at the screen at the end of the video, and will also be linked down in the description, so make sure to go check them out. Now some practice you simply can't get in creative mode. Becoming a better player sometimes requires you to play the game, and play it a lot. Playing in customs or arena mode will be by far the best practice, as the quality of players you're going to face is going to be much higher, so any little mistake you make will be picked apart and exploited by nearly every player you run into. This is great for learning, but it can also be one of the most infuriating ways to learn. No one likes to lose, and no one enjoys being beat in a fight. But learning from your mistakes and taking it as a learning lesson rather than blaming RNG or some other excuse is a great idea, because you can look exactly what you did wrong and what your opponent did right. You not only learn what not to do in a situation, but you can see exactly what your opponent did that worked so well against you. So when you run into someone who made the same mistake you once did, you can capitalize on it with something that you know will for sure work. Fortnite does have a large learning curve, but when looking at competitive Fortnite, especially if you're new to a BR, you're going to be lost. Even if you played the game for months, you still may not understand the core mechanics and how to handle late game situations, rotating, timing, and such, but it may be out of your comfort zone. You might lose a lot, and you'll for sure die a lot, but that's all a part of the learning process. One thing I recommend if you want a much lower stress and positive and fun vibe is to try out Zone Wars. There's a ton of discords and players who host them constantly, and even though it's not perfect in comparison to a real match, it is still a great way to get the jitters out if you're a newer player to the competitive side of Fortnite. You can practice, and practice, but it means nothing unless you apply it to your gameplay. When I first learned 90s, I had absolutely no idea what sort of situation I'd even use them in, and it felt sort of useless to spend my time trying to improve them when I never used them inside of a game. And sometimes it's hard to pinpoint exactly where a certain move would be most effective when you first learn it. And using something you're unsure about in a game can be demotivating if it doesn't pay off how you expect it to. Before I ever try a new technique in a normal game, I always try to test it in a 1v1 with a friend. That way there's no risk involved and time investment like a normal game would. Your other option, which is great as well, is to watch how other players use it. If you pick up a tip from Twitter or Reddit, watch how that player uses it and copy it to a T. You may eventually find a better or another way to use it, but if not, you always have something to fall back on. In the beginning of the video, I made a promise that no matter what skill level you were going to have something to practice at the conclusion of this video. I have two separate playlists that are going to show up at the very end of this video, and the first one is going to link you to my shotgun aim facility, my Kovacs style map, and the warm-up course. I also wanted to include another video that touches on some of the best scenarios to run within Kovacs. The second playlist is going to bring you some of the more in-depth videos on certain building techniques. Two of these videos are great in-depth tutorials on a variety of high ground retakes that you can use to spice up your builds. The third is another high ground retake, but this is more focused on making sure that you're always protected. There will be a variety of other videos in both of these playlists that will supply you with everything you'll need to hop into creative mode and practice. Now before I go, I want to let you know that I will be moving my streaming over to Twitch, which will be linked down in the description. So make sure to hop over there and follow for future streams. But make sure to come on back to YouTube and check out the videos that will be at the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video though, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to make sure you're notified for future tips and tricks. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.